Well, most people in New England think of Cape Cod as sandy beaches, golf courses, fried clams. But the New England racing family thinks of Dan Meservey. Dan, I don't know how the hell, for all those years, you've been able to make it off the Cape on Saturday to go racing, because I can't make it off. But I know you've done a great job, and I appreciate you showing up at all the tracks. Dan is a pioneer in the world of racing. He's built cars, he's promoted racetracks, he's driven to championships, he's started race clubs, he's done it all. He started off in Chatham, Mass. With the dune buggy races on the sand. I've seen pictures of it with his cars all up and down the road on Sunday. And then he was the last promoter for the Lakeville Speedway, 1975. He tried his hand at the old Lakeville Speedway, and when that didn't work out, Dan went off to the Seekonk Speedway and started the mini modified division along with Anthony Vendetti. And then in the early 80s, Falcone family called him to help him promote the old Westboro Speedway. And Dan was a big driving force in keeping that speedway open for as long as it did. And if Dan didn't probably step up to the plate, we probably wouldn't have got another 5 years like we did. Dan has won races from Florida all the way to Canada, and being president of the Mini Mod Association, which is now the Pro 4 division, he started that, and the Pro 4 Club wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for Dan. And I'm sure all the people who have enjoyed the Pro 4 racing, Dan, you've done a great job. And he's still at it today. Not unusual to see that 11A Coke machine pull into the racetrack today with Dan still behind the wheel and doing a great job and on finishing in the top 10. And yeah, that's a big accomplishment for you. Dan's been married for 46 years, has 2 sons and a daughter. The 2 boys have also ventured out into racing and had some success. And now Dan is sort of retired, dividing up his time between Florida and beautiful Cape Cod and taking it easy. And you'll see him at the local car shows on Thursday nights down at Sullivan Stadium. And you'll see him at the racetrack anytime pulling in with that famous 11A. So at this time, I'd like to take the opportunity, Dan, could you please come up and take your astute position in the New England Hall of Fame?
Well, can you hear me all right? I just can't begin to tell you how gratifying this is to be here in front of all the people that for years you looked up to, and all those times that we drove off the Cape and went by the family picnics on Route 6 and saw the people in their backyards having barbecue dinners and stuff, and we were going off to the racetrack somewhere between here and there. And after all these years, it's just great to be here with all you people and all of the people, like I say, our family has looked up to and we've learned a lot from. I'd like to start off by just introducing some friends and family that are here with me. And I'm going to start off with, I got a little list. It's not quite 20 pages like Val's was, but unfortunately I made it big print. But one of the gentlemen that's with us tonight is Tommy Doan. And Tommy Doan started racing with us in our club back in Chatham back in the late 60s and early 70s, and actually won the first race at Pine Speedway when our club loaded our cars in fish trucks and construction trailers and drove all the way to the Pines and raced with the Aces Car Club. And Tommy Doan won that race. He also went drag racing with me in the mid-60s, and we've been close friends for a long, long time. He's with us, along with Peter Sluta, who raced with the Pro 4s and the NEMA Club, started the racing in Chatham when he was a young man. And in 1971, he and I drove all the way to Las Vegas and raced in the Mint 400, and he co-drove the car. We just had one heck of a trip and a great time. I can't believe it was that many years ago, 40 years ago, that we did that. But that's something that we were able to do and have a lot of fun doing. And Peter raced his own modified, a dirt car at Lakeville, a big block. He ran at Reading. He worked on my car as a mechanic. He's a great friend, a great father, and he runs a business. We've been competitors for years in our hometown, and that's Peter Sluter. He's a really good person, and I'm glad he's here with us tonight. Another person, David Nabel, who raced with us, and David currently comes to the racetrack to help me when I go racing the last couple of years. He's tried to make it to most of the shows in Connecticut. People say to me when I go, they say, how come you're by yourself? I said, well, I'm not by myself most of the time. There's three of us, me, myself, and I, the car chief, the crew chief, and the driver. We all get along well, we all communicate well to each other, but one of us is usually a jerk on the way home. But David comes when he can. And Jamie Pena, whose father raced with us, Jamie made my first model when he was 17 years old, a model of my race car, and Jamie was able to come with us today. My wife's cousin, Wynn Crocker, and his wife, Ann, are with us. And our good friends, Bob and Joan Garbarino, who we've been friends with the last 10 or 12 years. And out in the audience is Skip and Ginny Heffernan and Richard Brewstalon. We've all traveled together in our motorhomes the last 12 years and extended our life to a happy time. And they've really been very good friends. Two of our grandchildren, or three of them are here, but the two boys, Brett, Danny's son, who wants to go mini cup racing in the near future, and young Doug, who, when he was 3, and this is what you call being bred into racing, when he was 3, he went to the nursing home and sang to his great-grandmother and the group of ladies at the nursing home the national anthem. And when he was done, he automatically said, "Gentlemen, start your engines." It was just part of life with him. And our oldest grandchild, Brooke, who all the years that I've raced and been many places and taken the trophy a lot, I've never won a race in Connecticut. And my granddaughter is the first one to win a race in Connecticut when she was running the little T when she was 7, I believe. And she's here with us today. She's a really true race fan, and she wants to get back into it someday. Our daughter, Lisa, her husband couldn't make it today, he's sick. She put up with all the deal when we were going racing, the boys and I were going racing. She put up with just being home and helping her mother or doing things. I'm glad that she was able to make it today. She's been a big help. She works in the family business as the boys do. Dan and Doug, who many of you know, who had their racing time and they're getting back into it now that their families have grown a little bit. They're here with us today, and I can tell you that I wouldn't be here today without their help when they were kids, when we traveled out to Winchester, Indiana, or when I raced in Atlanta, that they didn't go with me and help me work on things when the trailer broke on the way down and almost passed us on Route 81. All those times we shared, we'll never forget, and they've been a big help to my racing career. And the biggest help of all is my wife, Sharon, because from day one, she's been a true spirit. She's never discouraged me from racing, and even today, she doesn't discourage me from doing it. A few years ago, I was like running 6th all the time, and I was coming home disgusted. And I said, I either got to sell this car or buy a new engine. She says, well, you better buy a new engine. So it's her fault that I'm still doing it. But she's been a saint, and she is a saint. And I'm very thankful to have her for a wife. And we still got a long way to go. As far as promoters are concerned, I just got to make sure I cover everybody here because I don't want to forget anybody. And believe me, there's a lot of people, but I can't say them all. Frank Procopio, many of you might know Frank from the midget racing in the days. He was a big supporter of our club when we started back in the 70s. He passed in the 80s. He was a great gentleman. I hope someday that all of you, I guess now I can say all of us, can vote, can help to put his name in this great society because he was a great person and any of you who knew him would agree with me. I'm glad to be going in with Bill Balsa, who was a really good friend. He helped our club along the way. He was at Westboro Speedway for a long time when we ran Westboro Speedway. Bill was very helpful in training me how to run 2 sets of books. Is that a private joke, Bill? Oh. And I can only say stay involved. For all you people, young and old, stay involved as much as you can, because it's a great sport, it's full of great people. Pick up somebody young to, when I got involved back in the Pro 4s again a few years ago, I really enjoyed racing with the young guys, and we shared mutual things, mutual respect. And as I would say to you guys, if you go to the racetrack, great. If you don't go to the racetrack, try to find a racetrack to go to and support it, because we are an existing breed that's sometimes hanging on. And all those racetracks need all the help that you can give them. And I'll just say a short thing, that pick up a young friend to help race, because a guided future needs a handshake from the past. Thank you very much.